learning outcomes. After studying this module, you shall be able to know what is crime, learn what are the causes behind the crime, evaluate the crime statistics and analyze the crime rate in India. Introduction. Either we belong to any human society, there is always a process of 2D, that is development and destruction, is always going on, in which the destruction process involves maximally criminal processes which is present from the old era to today's modern era. Crime is defined in many ways. Crime is such human behavior or action due to which the laws for society are affected. Many scholars have done countless work to explore the behavior of crime. They examine the issues causative to the presentation of the impact of law and its enforcement, and also study the events that lead the decriminalization of certain behavior. Crime is not an objective phenomena. It is a reflection of how society is structured, in which certain behavior of those individuals regarded as criminal nature. Now, the legal definition of crime. It is defined as a violation of law or legal code which is done intentionally. Paul Tappan, 1960, provided a simplified definition which was repeated with little variation in more than half the works we reviewed. Crime is an intended act or violation of criminal law, statutory or case law committed without defense or justification and sanctioned by the state as an offense or misdemeanor. White-collar crime was introduced by Edward Sutherland in 1940s to draw attention towards the crimes committed by the upper class and corporate elite, and thus challenging the common perception that crime was committed chiefly by those in the lower class. Now, who is a criminal? A person who commits a crime is a criminal, but technically, unless a person is convicted of crime by the court of law, he cannot be designated as a criminal. If pronouncement has been pending by the court, then he is referred to as an alleged criminal. That does why again a definition of crime could be defined as any act done or committed in violation of public law for which the person is liable to punishment by indictment, presentment or impeachment. Now, what is criminology? Criminology in a contracted way is defined as the scientific learning of crime as a social phenomena or a science that deals with different aspects of behavior that violates criminal law. In its broader sense, it is referred to as the entire figure of information regarding the causes and prevention of crime, punishment and correction of criminals, and processes of correctional institutions and agencies. Now, we will discuss about the various causes of crime. Causes of crime. In Indian context, crime is an activity that involves breaking the law and enforcement. Crime is always relying upon the human because it is the mind that controls criminal behavior. Every conduct of human is an expression of mental activity, either it was conscious or subconscious. So the common factors in causing crimes are physical ailments which may be organic and functional. A delinquent act done by human may be the result of neurosis, psychosis, or it may be the combination of mental defect with some environmental factors. In aggression, sudden outburst in an environment which is favorable of antisocial crime. Now, causes of crime in view of sociologist. A sociologist looks in a different manner at human behavior, makes his own perceptions regarding it. He is stressed on learning and acquired aspects of behavior along with the personality traits. Crime is also one aspect of individual behavior. Thus, criminal behavior, according to Gibbons in 1977, focuses on the following facts. The facts are: first, learning of values, attitudes and behavior patterns depends upon the process of socialization and interpersonal association. It is thus sensible to approach individual's crime by paying devotion to his collection of social roles picked up from the structure of the society. Second, the etiological process that leads to criminality's role behavior involves a number of causal variables, that is, criminal behavior is the product of multiple causes. Third, circumstances that hinder the achievement of goals contribute much to crime and felony. Then fourth, almost every person either involves in petty law violation in his lifetime or entertains deviant and criminality's roles heavily, that is, are linked to serious act of law violation and thus identified by society as criminals. Individuals that are engaged in petty and isolated acts of deviance are also sometimes labeled as law violation. Thus, both are criminals as they are so labeled by the authorized machinery of social control. Fifth, crimes of a large number of criminals are not premeditated but are the result of situational pressures. Now, sixth, male and female criminals and juvenile and adult offenders require different approaches in their motivational mechanisms for committing crimes. Now, seventh, there are personality distinctions among criminals. The distinctions are in their social characteristics and in deviant behavior as well. Also, there are some persons who consider themselves as criminals, but there are many who have no self-image as a criminal. Eighth, criminals not only play antisocial role, but also many social roles as husband, father, employee, and so on. Ninth, variations in their societal response to criminality of different kinds as well as punitive handling determine continuation in criminality. Then 10th, with the presence of as more laws in society, more police will turn into unproductive. Thus, excessiveness of laws and ineffectiveness of police increases criminality. Next is growth of criminology. In the late 18th and early 19th centuries, however, the emphasis was on the reform of criminal law and not on the causes of crime. In India, teaching of criminology started in 1940 at the Jails Officers Training School at Lucknow, and subsequently in 1949 a diploma course was started at the Lucknow University. And further, criminology as a subject was introduced independently as Department of Criminology at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, that is Bombay, 1954. Dr. H.S. Gore Central University, Sagar, formerly Sagar University, 1959. University of Madras, 1965, and University of Karnataka in Dharwad, 1970. At postgraduate level, criminology as a paper was started between 1950 and 1959 by the Sociology Department of Lucknow University, Gorakhpur University Institute of Social Sciences, Agra, and by the Psychology Departments of Baroda University, Baroda, and Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. Between 1960 and 1980, criminology paper was also introduced in sociology departments of different universities. Greater growths of criminology acquired between 1970 and 1980 in the disciplines like sociology, psychology, social work, and law. Greater growths of criminology took place between 1970 and 1980 in disciplines like sociology, psychology, social work, and law. Gibbons and Garabedian in 1974 have recently identified three major perspectives in the growth of criminology. conservative, liberal and radical or the critical. Now, the conservative criminology, what is it? It incorporates the following ideas. First, the explanation of criminal law. Second, criminals are morally defective people. Third, criminologists have to study how morally defective people are produced and how society can protect itself against criminals. Fourth, in dealing with the question of causation of crime, conservative criminologists advocate the multiple factor approach, emphasizing on combinations of personality, biological and environmental factors. And fifth, conservative criminologists tend to have faith in efficient police and criminal justice machinery. Now, second is liberal criminology. It emerged in the 1940 and in the early 1950s. Since liberal criminology has dominated the field over the past 50 years, it is also called as mainstream criminology. Early liberal criminology has three major views. First view is crime is the outcome of learning process occurring within a criminogenic culture. Then is criminality is the result of breakdown of personal and social controls. And third is the crime is a normal response to a situation of cultural discontinuity between ends and means. These views affirm that criminals are not perceived as morally defective persons but are seen as law-abiding people in society who commit crime to achieve culturally supported goals like wealth, prestige and power. In the late 1970s, according to the new liberal criminology, society is characterized by conflict and criminality, which is the outcome of power differentials and of struggle to defend individual interests. Third, radical criminology. In 1970s, another view of criminology emerges known as radical criminology, and it rejects liberal reformism like probation, parole, juvenile court system, Brostol schools and correctional reformities, because all these strengthen the power of the state over the poor. And the main thrust of radical criminology is first, a relatively small number of politicians, bureaucrats and military men comprise a close-knit power structure bent upon exploiting people. Second, laws have been created as devices for compelling the masses to remain docile. Third, the police are the mercenaries of oppression, serving the interests of the power elite. Fourth, criminals are held captive as innocent victims of a corrupt, capitalistic and exploitative society. And fifth, unless the present political economic structure of capitalistic society is changed, the criminality will remain and the legal machinery will continue to undermine the interests of people. Statistics of crime and criminology. According to Cladwell in 1956, statistics in criminology furnish us with much valuable information. First, they tell us about the magnitude of crime, types of crimes and the nature of criminals in a society. This information is very useful in corrective and preventive programs. Secondly, statistics can inform us about the number of persons arrested for committing crimes, number of persons prosecuted, convicted, imprisoned, placed on probation or acquitted. That is, how the criminals have been handled. This has helped in determining the efficiency of the law enforcement agencies and the problems that confront them. Thirdly, they can explain the characteristics of criminal and delinquents and their backgrounds like sex, age, marital status, education, occupation, income, residence, etc. According to Cladwell in 1956, certain difficulties took place during use of statistics in criminology. First, The laws keep on changing from time to time and place to place. Consequently, increases or decreases in the figures shown in reports may reflect the action of legislature in the reduction of offences and not any changes in the habits or activities of the people. Secondly, all acquired statistics are not always available. Absence of complete record on crimes therefore provides us only a sample of actual criminality. The ratio between sample and totality may not always be the same, because of which the criminologist may fail to ascertain the actual size of the problem. Thirdly, the recorded criminality, in order to be meaningful, must be related to the population of the society. This is generally not done. The result is that what is interpreted as increase in criminality may actually reflect an increase in population. Fourthly, the number of persons arrested does not give the correct picture of crime, because other information is also needed if we are to have a clear picture of what is happening in a society. Criminologists are developed to the study of crime and criminal behavior. As two noted criminologists, Wolfgang Marvin and Ferracuti Franco, in 1967 put it, a criminologist is one whose professional training, occupational role and pecuniary reward are primarily concentrated on a scientific approach to and study and analysis of the phenomena of crime and criminal behavior. A researcher in criminology has to focus all the aspects and factors during analysis of crime data, rather it merely depend on crime statistics compiled by the government agencies or others. Crimes are also categorized into four groups for statistical record, research and analysis purposes. First, crime that have been done against person like assault and murder. Second, crime that has been done for property like theft, robbery, and third, crimes which are against public decency or morality like drunkenness, disorderly conduct, and lastly, the crimes against public justice like embezzlement, breach of trust, etc. Now we will study about the crimes in India. There is a bureau called National Crime Record Bureau in India, which is a government organization which statistically collects and records all the data separately of every type of crime occurred in our country to define the crime rate and crime incidence easily. NCRB recorded in year 2013 a total of 66,40,378 crimes that are cognizable. Out of them, 26,47,722 are Indian Penal Code crimes and 39,92,656 are special and local laws crimes, presenting a rise of 9.9% over 2012, in which 60,41,559 cases were reported. In Maharashtra, 8.9% of total IPC crime were reported in the country, which is followed by Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, which is 8.6% each, Andhra Pradesh 8.2% and Tamil Nadu 7.7%. Now we will see into the statistics of violent crimes. In India, 11.3% violent crimes of total Indian Penal Code were reported in 2013, which was 11.5% in 2012. A small decline in rate of crimes has been observed. State of Uttar Pradesh, 38,779 reported the highest cases of violent crimes, accounting for 12.9%, which is 3,357 cases of total violent crimes in the country, followed by Maharashtra with 10.9%, which is 32,815 cases, and Bihar with 10.1%, and the number of cases is 30,213 cases. Uttar Pradesh reported the highest events of murder, that is 15.2%, which makes 5,047 out of 33,201 cases. Of total murder cases, and the highest, that is 14.8%, which makes 5,259 cases out of 35,417 cases. Of total attempt to commit murder cases in the country, Madhya Pradesh reported 12.9%, which is 4,335 cases out of 33,707 cases of total rape cases reported in the country. Now, the important aspect, crime against women. According to NCRB, the fraction of IPC crimes committed against women from total IPC crimes has elevated during last 5 years from 9.2%. This is reported in 2009 to 11.2%, which is reported in the year 2013. In year 2013, such crimes in Andhra Pradesh reported 10.6% of total such cases in the country, which is 32,809 out of 3,09,546 cases. Delhi UT reported the highest crime rate, which is 146.8 as compared to the national average rate of 52.2. Rape is one of the India's most common crimes against women, and official records show that the rape cases in India has doubled between 1990 and 2008. In most of the rape cases, culprit is known or relative of the victim. According to NCRB data, in year 2013, offenders were known to the victims in 94.3% of the rape cases, which is 31,807 out of 33,707 cases. Now we'll talk about the next crime, which is human trafficking. In year 2013, an increase of 10.9% in human trafficking was reported, 3,940 cases in 2013 as compared to 3,554 cases in 2012. Percent distribution of cases registered under Human Trafficking is Immoral Trafficking Prevention Act, 65.5%. Procurement of minor girls, it is 31.1%. Selling of girls for prostitution, it is 2.5%. And importation of girls, that is 1%. And buying of girls for prostitution is 0.2% during 2013. 60% decrease from 15 in 2012 to 6 in 2013 of case under buying of girls for prostitution was reported during 2013 over 2012 as per NCRB data. Now next is crime against children. According to NCRB recorded data, an increase of 52.5% in cases of crime against children was reported in 2013 over 2012. In percentage terms, major crime heads under crime against children during 2013 were reported under kidnapping and abduction, which is 48.4%, rape 21.2%, murder other than infanticide 2.8%, procuration of minor girls 2.1%. Next is juveniles in conflict with law. Number of juveniles in conflict with law under both IPC and SLL has increased by 13.6% and 2.5% respectively during the year 2013 over 2012. The share of IPC crimes committed by juveniles to total IPC crimes was reported as 1.2% during 2013. The highest increase in the incidence of crimes committed by juveniles was reported under assault on woman to outrage her modesty, which is 132.3%, followed by insult to the modesty of women, which is 70.5%, and rape, which is 60.3%. The highest number of juveniles were apprehended for thefts, which is 7,969, followed by hurt, which is 6,043, and burglaries, which is 3,784. These heads taken together accounted for 40.9% of total juveniles apprehended under IPC crimes. The percentage of juveniles apprehended under IPC was 66.3% in the age group of 16 to 18 years during 2013. A large number of juveniles, 50.2%, belonged to the poor families whose annual income was up to 25,000 only. Next category of crimes is cyber crimes. NCRB data reported that incidence of cyber crimes, IT Act plus IPC sections, has increased by 63.7% in 2013 as compared to 2012, from 3,477 cases in 2012 to 5,693 cases in 2013. In year 2013, cyber forgery accounted for 55.9%, which is 747 out of total 1,337 IPC cases. And cyber fraud accounted for 38.7%, which is 518 out of 1,337 cases, were the major cases reported under IPC category for cyber crimes. 56.7% of the offenders under IT Act were in the age group of 18 to 30 years, which is 1,190 out of 2,098 persons, and 50.1% of the offenders under IPC sections were in the age group of 30 to 45 years, which is 603 out of 1,203 persons. During 2013, 21.8% of cyber crimes was reported for fraud or illegal gain, that is 1,240 out of 5,693 cases, which is followed by eve teasing or sexual harassment with 19.6%, which is 1,116 cases, and greed or money with 14.4%, which is 821 cases. Similarly, in 13.2% of cases of cybercrime, suspects were neighbors, friends and relatives, which is the number of cases are 749 out of 5,693. Now we conclude with the summary. There is unrest among all sections of society which disrupts social relationship and social bonds among youth, peasants, industrial workers, students, government or semi-government employees and the minorities. Social unrest increases frustrations and strains which lead to violation of legal and social norms. That's why it is very necessary to focus on the causes leading to crime and prevention of these crimes.